Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du, fa'uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qala Allahu ta'ala fil Qur'anil Hakim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط لا إله إلا هو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العظيم. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين صدق الله العظيم. The first verse which I recited translates as follows: Allah bears witness that there is no God but He, and so do the angels and those people who possess knowledge, who maintain justice. There is no God but He, the mighty, the wise. And that is chapter 3, Surah Al Imran, verse 18. And the second verse I recited is also from the same chapter 3, and it is verse 164, which translates as: Certainly Allah conferred a favor on the believers when He raised among them a messenger from among themselves, reciting to them His messages and purifying them and teaching them the book and the wisdom, although before that they were surely in clear error. The first verse which I recited tells us that the belief that there is no God but Allah is so crucial and essential that Allah Himself bears witness to it. What this means is that Allah has created this world in such a way that its working shows that it has one creator and that it is not the creation of several creators. There are, of course, people who believe that the world had no creator, but they did not reach that conclusion from previously believing that there is one God. They come from nations and traditions which are unaware of the true concept of God as presented by Islam. So their previous belief, which they have given up and rejected, was their imperfect belief in the oneness of God. For example, as with the Christian view of God. And so from that wrong belief, imperfect belief I should say, they've reached the conclusion that there is no creator. But anyhow, moving on, the verse says that the angels also bear witness that there is no God but Allah. And the way in which they do so is that every revelation that has come to a prophet from Allah, brought by angels, every revelation taught that there is only one God. And the verse then goes on to say that those people who possess knowledge and do justice, that they also bear witness that there is no God but He, no God but Allah. And this indicates that in order to properly realize that there is only one God, we need to acquire knowledge of all kinds in this world, and then we need to assess that knowledge with justice, putting aside our prejudices and low desires. The second verse which I recited shows the importance of believing in the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that verse tells us that God raised him in the world as a great favor to his followers, the followers of the Holy Prophet, because they learn from him the message sent by God to humanity. Then by following his example, they become purified in character, and they learn from the Holy Prophet not only the book revealed to the Holy Prophet, but also wisdom, hikmat, in how to apply its teachings. I've recited these two verses to draw attention to the fundamental creed or beliefs of Islam. And as everyone knows, that fundamental creed of Islam consists of these 2 points, that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. And it is expressed by every Muslim in the kalima of Islam. And now I will connect this with the theme of last week's khutbah, which I am continuing here, and that theme was the beliefs of our Ahmadiyya movement as stressed by Hazrat Maulana Nur-ud-Din. He was the first head of the Ahmadiyya movement after the death of the founder of the movement, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and he led one united Ahmadiyya movement from May 1908 to March 1914. In his khutbahs and speeches, Maulana Nur-ud-Din particularly laid stress on the importance of the kalima, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his servant and messenger. And he explained its underlying meaning in several times in his sermons and speeches. Maulana Nur-ud-Din delivered one such Friday khutbah in December 1910 on the occasion of the annual gathering of the Ahmadiyya movement. So he was addressing in person the largest gathering of Ahmadis that had taken place up to that time, because it was the annual gathering. And he begins that khutbah by saying this: all the khutbahs that are delivered in the world from the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad to the present day, which follow his example, they all begin with Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, which, as you all know in English, means I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. Then Maulana Nur-ud-Din explains how we benefit from this declaration. He says that there are 3 benefits of the first part of the kalima, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. And the first of those 3 benefits is, he says, when we hear someone reciting this loudly, we understand that he is a Muslim and has discarded the worship of anything other than Allah. And his words in Urdu are that when we hear someone reciting this kalma loudly, hum usse Musalman aur shirk se bezar samajh lete hain. So this is a plain statement by Hazrat Maulana Nur-ud-Din that we believe anyone who recites the kalma to be a Muslim. The second benefit, he says, is that if a person has true and real belief in La ilaha illallah, he realizes that anything which he uses in this world is only a means which God has created with certain properties and qualities to help us to achieve our objective. But those means are nothing in themselves. Now, I may expand this by giving examples. To survive in this world, we need food, medicine, and other resources such as energy, gas, electricity, etc., water. These only work because of the properties placed in them by God. We get all these things from human providers such as our employers, suppliers, doctors. But these resources and their providers do not take the place of God. However, if to get something, such as a job or money or some material resource, if we are prepared to go against God's teachings and, for example, we tell a lie or cheat or deceive to get what we want, then we are indeed taking that thing which we are trying to get, we are taking that thing as being God. And the fact is that if we can't get something from one place, we can get that same thing from another place or provider. Or we can always find an alternative and get something else instead of that thing. So in this way, we will not be taking that thing or its human provider as God. The third benefit of belief in La ilaha illallah, Maulana Nur-ud-Din says, is that by its frequent recitation, while understanding its meaning, he adds that, while understanding its meaning, we can overcome the obstacles which stand in the way of us reaching nearness to God. And he says that this is the unanimous evidence and experience of all the prophets and all the saints of God. In La ilaha illallah, he says that La ilaha provides us with a way of avoiding sins, and illallah is the means for us to acquire good qualities. La ilaha is a rejection of all the things of this world that are worshipped and loved and sought after. When those things no longer remain sought after, then you would not commit a sin to get them. And he says that if a person does not make it as his aim and desire, even to obtain lawful things which are lawful for him to obtain and allowed for him, he would not ever think of taking anything which is actually not allowed. And after La ilaha, by saying the words illallahu, a person forms a bond with Allah. And in every matter, that person's real aim becomes to find favor with Allah. Then Maulana Nur-ud-Din moves on to the second part of the kalima, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, is his servant and messenger. The Maulana explains the reason why this second part is added. He says, the Holy Prophet ﷺ had seen that the religious guides who had arisen before him in the world from time to time had been made by their later followers into gods, and they worshipped them along with God as God's partners. To keep the world free from this error, the Holy Prophet added this part to the kalima so that people take the Holy Prophet to be a servant of God, abduhu. And since they were going to be saints among Muslims, awliya among Muslims, this would also stop people from making them into objects of worship. So from the Maulana's statement, it is absolutely clear that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, there can only be saints or awliya arising among Muslims and not any prophets. And moreover, by saying this, that so people wouldn't make saints into objects of worship, he's indicating to the whole Ahmadiyya Jamaat that the status of the founder of the Ahmadiyya movement should not be exaggerated. Then Maulana Nur-ud-Din goes on to say that along with acknowledging the prophethood of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, we must look in the Quran to see what a man of high status he was. To find out his high rank, we have to look at the following two verses of the Quran. One which he quotes is, "Surely you meaning the Holy Prophet," Allah is addressing the Holy Prophet, "surely you have the highest morals." And the other verse is, Allah's grace, fazl, Allah's fazl on you, O Prophet, is very great. And the Maulana goes on to say that just to have the highest morals makes a person very great. But when Allah calls someone as great, just think of the high level of his greatness. It cannot even be imagined. And on top of that, Allah granted him, the Holy Prophet, great grace. These are the words of Maulana Nur-ud-Din that I am reading in translation. He says, just think, those people whose leader possesses such great grace and the highest morals, can they desire someone else as leader? And he is the Khatam al-Nabiyyin. That is what he says, and he is the Khatam al-Nabiyyin. And I will come just a little later to the meaning of Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Then Maulana Nur-ud-Din goes on to present the fundamental beliefs of Islam as follows. And remember again, he is addressing the whole of the Ahmadiyya movement at the annual gathering in 1910. He says this, "Listen, I believe in Allah, that He is one, and He is unique in His attributes and in His qualities and works. And in His qualities and works, there is nothing which is like Him. I believe in the angels of Allah, who prompt and motivate us to do good. And the purpose of believing in angels is that whenever a desire arises in a person to do good, he must act upon that desire. I believe in all the prophets of Allah, whether they are mentioned in the Holy Quran or not. They were all righteous servants of Allah, and they conveyed the revelation from Allah to people in their times. I also believe that all prophethoods came to an end with the Holy Prophet Muhammad. In fact, I believe with certainty and full conviction that the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ not only combined in himself all prophethoods and brought them to an end, he combined in himself and brought to completion the qualities of all prophets, all saints, and all humans. This is my belief. After him, I cannot even imagine that a person could possess such qualities. And having said this, Hazrat Maulana Nur-ud-Din then says, I will quote to you a verse of poetry about this by Hazrat Mirza Sahab. And he quotes a verse of poetry in Persian, and it translates into English as follows. O you who deny and doubt the truth of the king of religion, Shahideen, and by king of religion is meant the Holy Prophet Muhammad. O you who deny and doubt the truthfulness of the king of religion, take a look at his servants and devotees first. Take a look at his servants and devotees first. In Persian, the words are Khadman and Chakar. Have a look at his servants and devotees first. So Maulana Nur-ud-Din goes on to say, to find the effect produced by the qualities of the Holy Prophet, we see that his companions were a greatly righteous group of people. But that seems to be past history. And then addressing the people present, Maulana Nur-ud-Din says, your existence in this village, by village he means Qadian, your existence in this village is a testimony of the grace which Allah bestows on someone who becomes a ghulam of Ahmad, who becomes a servant of Ahmad. That is what he says. And Maulana Nur-ud-Din is referring here to the name Ghulam Ahmad of the founder of the Ahmadiyya movement, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. And what he means is that if the stories of the Sahaba, the companions of the Holy Prophet, are now from the past of long ago, then here in this village of Qadian, you have witnessed, Hazrat Mirza Sahib of course had passed away by then, but he says you have just witnessed for yourself the grace, the fazl which Allah bestowed on the man who became the ghulam of Ahmad, who became the servant of Ahmad. Therefore, Maulana Nur-ud-Din's belief was that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad came to serve Islam. He came to serve Islam in the present age, just as the Holy Prophet Muhammad's companions served Islam in their times in the past. And it follows from this that like the Sahaba, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib was not a prophet, nor did he, of course, claim to be such. And all this shows that neither did his successor Maulana Nur-ud-Din believed him to be a prophet, as he has clearly stated that prophethood came to an end with the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after him only awliya will come, and or saints. And here one has become a wali and has grace of Allah bestowed on him by becoming, he says, ghulam of Ahmad, the servant of Ahmad. Ahmad, of course, is the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So may Allah enable everyone to benefit from these simple and straightforward explanations as given by Hazrat Maulana Nur-ud-Din, marhum o maghfoor. May Allah raise him to the highest ranks in the hereafter and grant him his forgiveness and mercy abundantly. Ameen. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil Azim wa nafa'na wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malakun barurur rahim.